Hoi hoi folks, good morning, good afternoon and good evening wherever you are in the world. My name is Sean, aka Uncle Frogface, and welcome to today's video. If you're new here, then welcome. If you're not new, then welcome back. And as you'll have seen from today's video description, we are doing something a little bit different today. So, just for context, the last few days in the UK has been a bit of a heat wave. In fact, just half a mile down the road from where Andrew and I live, it was the hottest temperature ever recorded in Wales. So yeah, I have been melting the last couple of days. So the last thing I wanted to do is kind of sit down and sketch and paint, particularly because I get quite sweaty hands and that's not good for anyone. So I've been watching a lot of YouTube and just doing general research online, and it came to my attention that computers are now creating art, and very interesting art at that. So I want to give one of these AI programs a go. Today I'm going to be looking at MidJourney AI. So yeah, I kind of had a bit of a play around on this. It's different from other AIs in that it works on Discord and you put in prompts and then it generates something. As I say, I've had a bit of a play around already. It's very interesting and I wanted to share that with you guys. So I'm actually going to switch over to my webcam now and get everything set up, and yeah, well, I'll see you in a second. Okay, here we are, and you can see this is my profile on MidJourney. So, MidJourney is an application that is now in open beta, so it's free to use if you have Discord, which is a free app. I highly recommend it. It's great for communication. And essentially what you do is type in prompts, and then the computer generates images using, it's like a cloud of images that have image tags. It pulls them together, and it's like an artificial intelligence for art. So I had a bit of a play around. So this was when I was in the beta, and you get a certain amount of images free. So this is what I was creating earlier, and you can see there's a whole host of things here. If you hover over the bottom, you can actually see my prompt here was Icarus under the ocean flying with whales. And then this is an iteration of one of those images. This one was an ancient relic of great power, silver purple gem smoke. So I did that. I like this one at the bottom. I created 4 iterations of that. I really like this one at the top, so I created a bigger image of that. You can kind of, like when you're sketching an idea and you go through iterations, it's basically doing the same thing. You can also put in different styles as well. So here I had Standing Stones, Goblin, Desolate, and Ghibli or Ghibli. And I really liked these, so I then did an iteration of this one down here, which gave me this one up here, and I did another iteration which gave me this one here, which I really, really enjoy. And they do have, I think the ones down here, the smaller thumbnail ones, have more of a Ghibli-esque feel than these ones. But yeah, we've just got lots of different weird and wonderful things. These ones I particularly liked. This was Portrait of a Skeleton, Royal Golden Adorned, Glowing Eyes, and Futurism. I really liked this image down here, so I upscaled that one to be this one here. Tried iterations of a couple of others, wasn't overly happy with them. Tried describing character from a franchise. This was a description of Pinhead without the pins. That's what it came up with. We've got a sleeping dragon in a Rococo style. There's lots of different things here. This one was a fun one. Kaiju in a bottle, cinematic, photorealistic, and then I did an iteration of the first one. It came up with these ones. So I decided from this that actually I did want to go ahead and create myself a profile. So I've signed up, I've subscribed. It's a small amount for the month just to give it a try. This was my first try. So now, rather than being in the MidJourney Discord, which I have lots of people putting their suggestions up all the time, I can now do this from my chat, and I can chat directly with the bot, and then it comes up with ideas. So I thought first, to try this out, what I would do is take a piece from over here. So this is a piece that we recently did. This is a scroller box piece, so I have this here, and see if I can describe this to the computer and get a kind of representation of that, or the computer's idea of the same prompt. So to make this work, we type imagine. We're asking the computer to imagine something, and then we put in our prompt. So I'm going to put male floating in pools of coloured, spelled properly, ink. I'm also going to put pencil sketch male floating in pools of coloured ink, and then I'm going to put poster style. Why not? Okay. Now let's see what the computer comes up with. I'm just going to press enter, and we're going to wait for it to start. I might speed this bit up. There we go. Okay, so we're starting to get some ideas already. It's starting to iterate. It goes through a percentage as it's bringing in this kind of cloud-based image that it has and bringing it all together into these 4 ideas. You can apparently change the aspect ratio on this as well, which is something that DALL-E doesn't do. DALL-E is another AI software. We've got some interesting things coming up already. So I can see that it's chosen to pick some parts of the prompt, but not others. So the pencil sketch, that hasn't come up. Pools of coloured ink, I mean, it's definitely colourful. About 81%. Let's see how much more it does. Okay, and then these are final images. I can kind of open that up a bit more. This one's interesting. This one, not so much. I like some aspects of this one, but it looks like a decapitated torso. This one up here I'm quite interested in, and I want to see what that looks like under some iterations. So I'm going to go to version. This is sketch number 2. And I'm going to ask it to create variations of this particular image. And again, we'll wait for it to start, and then it's going to go through. And it's going to take that idea and then iterate on it. Oh, okay, already got some interesting things. These top 2, very similar. This bottom one, not so much. But this one down here, I really like. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to upscale that and make it into a more defined image. And then I'm also going to ask for some variations on this one as well. So I'm doing 2 tasks at once. So yeah, we'll see how these go. Okay, so we've got the variations have come up. I quite like this one down the bottom. Not hugely a fan of these ones up here. This one kind of reminds me a bit of a Picasso. And then we're just waiting for the other one to upscale. We're 74% of the way through. I can see, I think, more of the pencil stuff coming through. So one thing I've noticed about this is that because it's drawing from several images, eyes aren't always necessarily great. But I think this is a tool where you really have to consider what you're going to do with it. And I'll talk a little bit about that towards the end of the video. We're getting there, 90%. Okay, so here is the upscaled image, and this will save to my MidJourney gallery as well, so I can reference it earlier. Looks like there might be a bit of an eyeball up here, a little bit of an eyeball down here as well. You can see the eyes are a bit weird. So if we were to kind of skew this a little bit, straighten it up, I think he would be floating in some yellow ink down here. It kind of looks like a swimmer, especially with this cap as well, getting ready to swim through some yellow water. So that is MidJourney's interpretation of the prompt that I had for this piece here, or at least the idea that I had for this piece. This is also really good for kind of large concept pieces. So let's try imagine dystopian landscape, floating buildings, skyscraper, trees, and let's go for cinematic photorealistic, and let's see how it handles this. Okay, so this is interesting. Let's look what we've got here, and I think what happens is, because I'm just putting in words, it's just taking those words and interpreting them in a random order. So here it's trying to do a landscape. We've got a floating building here, a floating building on the water. We've got some buildings on the water down here, skyscrapers. Not really what I was going for, but I think that is because of the way that I have formatted what I'm putting in. I'm going to try this time constructing a sentence to describe what I want instead. Let's see if that helps the computer. Let's see if that helps the computer to understand what I mean. Okay, so this time we have got a dystopian landscape littered with tall buildings made of trees. Several floating islands drift through the sunrise sky, and cinematic. Let's see how it handles this. Okay, let's look what we've got, and this is certainly closer to what I was thinking of, particularly like these bottom two. So up here we've definitely got kind of floating buildings or floating islands. These ones down here look like rock pillars with trees on top and the sun weirdly in the middle of the ocean. This one down here though, number 4, it's dystopian buildings. They're kind of broken down. We've got trees growing out of them. We don't have floating islands, but it is certainly a sunset and there are buildings floating on the water. I think that's how it's interpreted, the floating. So I'm going to do variations of number 4. Okay, and now let's look what we've got here. We're starting to drift more towards futuristic, I think. But I like these. I really like, they're nice kind of concept sketches. Okay, I want to try something else. So we've done the watercolor, we've done this. Let's try a creature. It's where the mind really starts to race. So, okay, so time to see how MidJourney figures this one out. I'm not making it easy. We've got a tall menacing creature stalking the forest. Black shaggy hair, red eyes, large teeth, nightmare. And I've also thrown in neoclassical to see how it handles that. Let's go. Okay, interesting. Now, I actually really like these. I'm quite surprised. I like all of them actually. I think the two on the right are particularly strong. I like the one on the top. You can't really see its red eyes. It kind of looks like the inside of a mouth. I'm going to do variations on that one. So that is number 2. Let's do some variations. I'm also going to upscale that one as well because I really like it. And it's fun to play around with different styles as well to see what's going to come out. Take the same prompt, take out the style, put a different style in. Okay, so while we're waiting for the upscale to happen, here are variations on this creature. And honestly, I really like all of them. I really like all of them. So let's wait for the upscale to finish. Okay, here we go. This is the upscale of that piece. And I mean, putting red in the descriptor, it looks like it's just got one eye, which I love. The fur is kind of melting into the branches. It looks like there's blood on the floor. Love it. Really love it. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to have a look at kind of how it handles patterns. So again, we're going to imagine, and I want the pattern to be on something. So is that how you spell it? I think spelling is important, so I'll double check this. Okay, I am spelling it correctly. Fabergé egg. Good start. Let's put... Okay, so this is going to be an interesting one. I've got our prompt is a Fabergé egg made of multicolored crystals glowing inside in the style of Giger or Giger, who did the alien concept art. Okay, interesting. So I can definitely see the Giger in there. I can definitely see the multicolored and the crystal. Definitely looks like an egg. These are very interesting. I'm wondering if I add something in there, if it would change slightly. So let's go again. Okay, so we've basically got the same prompt, except this time I've added smoke and I've added a cinematic tag as well. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so just a small change, but we've got change in angle, not much smoke, kind of a misty background. I really love this first one, and this last one. It looks like it's got an aurora borealis in it. This one here actually looks, it's got that Fabergé separation in the middle, but you can still see the Geiger in it as well. In fact, I'm going to do variations on number 2. Let's see what happens. There we are. So it's kept some of the pieces that I really like, that separation in the middle, that colour palette as well. This top one is gorgeous. I like the opening at the top, actually looks like one of the alien eggs. Very, very interesting. Okay, so we've had a little bit of a play. Suppose I should probably give you my final thoughts. So that was our little experiment with MidJourney, and I kind of went into this with an open mind, because I've had people saying it's going to replace artists, it's an amazing piece of software, and actually yes, it is an amazing piece of software. I'm sure it works in an incredibly smart way, much smarter than I am, but essentially this computer it's iterating ideas. I think that really is what this is great for. So when we have a sketchbook or we've got ideas and we're noting things down, our brain is going through the process of here's one thing, here's another thing. If we put them together, what would that look like? What would it sound like? What would it read like? All creatives have this kind of what if mentality, I think, where you've got multiple things floating around and they kind of smash into each other and create weird and beautiful things. That is essentially exactly what this is doing. So by putting in your suggestions, your prompts, it's giving you visual feedback for ideas that you can then iterate even more on. So for instance, that monster, the creature in the woods, I love that so much that in fact what I'm going to do is take that into Procreate, and then I'm going to work on it and I'm going to create something else from it. The Geiger Fabergé eggs, I would really like to actually maybe take that, in the idea at least, into Nomad and see if I can sculpt something to 3D print, or even just to kind of rotate and have in 3 dimensions. The landscapes bring ideas up. The watercolour, I mean, was just a complete different way to go on the prompt that I had. So actually for me this is incredibly exciting. If you'd like to see any of those, by the way, any of those ideas, the Monster in Procreate or the Fabergé egg, any of those, leave a comment down below and tell me and we can make a video of it. I've actually got another idea for something to use with MidJourney as well, which I'm really interested in, so that's definitely going to be coming very soon. But tell me what you think. Have you used MidJourney? Have you used DALL-E? Have you used any of the other art AI programs? What are your thoughts on them? What are your thoughts of kind of rapid prototyping ideas and iterations in this way, and having a computer kind of be the middleman for your brain? Are you a professional that uses these? I'd really be interested in that, and whether you're using them in that way. Anyway, there's lots of questions and I don't think I'm going to answer them right now. All I can say is it is really fun. As always, I really hope you've enjoyed today's video, and until next time, goodbye.